So this week I kind of want to talk to you about deliverability, and um, it relates to something that happened to me this last week. I went out and I was doing some stuff online, and I came across this course that somebody was offering, and I was interested in what they might be offering and what they might have to say. And it was a very simple thing. You just entered your email, and the same way that subscribers here on the newsletter have done that, and to get instant access is what the promise was for this site. You entered your email, and all it was you simply entered your email and pushed submit. And then immediately a pop-up window came up and it said, thanks, great. We just sent you a password to sign up for or to watch this video that we offered you. And so knowing that I was going to be starting to get some information from these people, I quickly jumped over to my email address and there was nothing. Thinking maybe it went into my spam folder, which happens a lot. Go and check my spam folder, nothing there. And so I'm figuring maybe there's something going on with my domain, my email server. So I go back and I sign up for a secondary email that I use. And sure enough, the same thing happened. Both times, put the email address in, push submit, and the same window pops up and says, thank you. We've just sent you an email with your password. And that's it. Nothing else was able to happen. Close the window and can't even get back to that window where it says to enter the password. So I'm assuming that the email would have a link to the login page. I'm assuming, and nothing. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, and there's no contact info on how to get a hold of this individual who's providing this content, this material that I was hoping to be able to look at. I was able to track down the person through social media, reached out via social media to this person, and took about a day and a half, which is odd because this person's very posting very frequently on social media. But, I just equated it to them being busy. Maybe the holiday season, maybe they were traveling and not really checking business items and stuff. But late at night, I get a response, and come to find out the person's in the same time zone as I am and stuff. So it's not like they're on the other side of the world and they just hadn't had a chance to find it or to see the message. But the response I got was, oh, sorry, something must be down. Let me check on it. And so everything was fine. And they come back and said, sorry, still waiting on it. Their email server, email marketing program was down, and that it should be back up in a day, which I found kind of odd because I know the email service that they're using, and it's one of the big ones. It's one of those that doesn't just go down. If they go down, marketers and branders all over the world are going to be down because they can't send out their marketing messages and everything. Get a message a couple hours later saying, hey, everything should be up and working. Sorry about that. Go back and re-enter the information and you'll be good. And so I said, okay. And so I go back and I re-enter the information. Same thing happens, and I go to the site, enter my email, and push submit. But this time, a pop-up comes up and says that there's an error and that it's not working. I figured maybe it's because there's some kind of conflict because I use the same email address. So I tried the other email address that I used. That didn't work. So then I use a third email address that I have access to. That still didn't work. It still came up with the same error message. Then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's the web browser. And so I switched over and tried a different web browser. And sure enough, I got the same error message. And this just really got me thinking, this process that I had to go through became overly complex. and it's still not resolved. And this is all for stuff that I'm supposed to get for free. It just really got me thinking. It's like, oh, what, who else is having these problems out there? We need to make sure as branders that we check our systems frequently. You never know what kind of business you're missing out on. And I'm sure this person that I was signing up for was going to be, even though the content was free, because I can see other stuff that they offer that they'll try and sell me on stuff later, which is fine. The content material that they seem to provide seems to be in line with some of the stuff that I was that I look at doing, and but unfortunately now, because of that, and this person has on-site courses where you fly out to be part of an event, and just really you can tell that person puts a lot of effort and time into what they offer. But unfortunately, they're not checking all of their processes. And it just got me thinking as I was doing this, how long should I be doing this for? How long should I continually try to provide this person my information? Again, as branders, we need to make sure that our processes are in place, but also that our processes are working. Unfortunately, it's a downside to being a smaller company, smaller organization. You don't have personal developers who develop your own email marketing campaign software. You have to use third-party solutions. And if something's not triggering properly, it can create all sorts of errors. And it got me thinking back to a company I worked with who had a shopping cart from one company. They had their storefront on their own website, but then their fulfillment was done and handled through another third party. And they found out one time that about every 3 to 4 orders weren't going through. They just weren't receiving them. And so they started getting a lot of upset customers and stuff because they felt that they were being ignored or something shady was going on. Your processes matter, and we really need to make sure that we are focused all the time to try and make sure that everything is working smoothly. One way to do that is to go through the system yourself. Put in your email address, as this person probably should do, is put in their own email address and see how everything works out. You can't just assume that everything's going to come up and work the way you want it to. But more importantly, you can't assume that it's just going to work. If it works today, that it's going to work 3 days from now or 3 months from now. And I tried to let the person know by even asking them, saying, hey, is your site defunct? Is it not working anymore? Because that also tends to be happening a lot. I'm finding a lot lately is people put up things and then it's still there 2 years later, but you can tell that they haven't done anything with the site. Whether it's the copyright at the bottom of the page that says 2014 and now we're in 2019, it just automatically tells somebody who comes to the site, as far as they know, you haven't done anything with anything on your site or anything for 5 years. And I don't think that's the message any of us want to give. And so I urge you this week, think about your processes. Hopefully you have them written down and you know all the steps and all the parts that are necessary for your brand to be functioning properly. Go through those processes, but go through them in the eyes of a consumer, the way your consumer is going to digest this information, and find out if it's working the way that you would want it to if you were a consumer of your own brand. If there's any changes and stuff, develop a plan and get it in motion. Get it functioning the way that you want it to, the way your customers expect it to. That way you have happier customers and you have better results in what you're trying to do, what you're trying to offer. Think about your customers in every step of their interaction with your brand, and you'll make your brand better. I promise. We'll see you next week. Let's make your brand better.